Okay, let's go ahead and reconvene to open session, folks. We are back from closed session. It is April 12th. Welcome, everybody. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Narenheim.
Here.
We know for the record that Councilmember Lowenstein is absent this evening. So Councilmember Horvath.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Councilmember MD.
Absent.
She's going to be absent for the first part of it.
Okay. I'll make a note when she signs in. And Mayor.
Here. Thank you, Vicky. Do we have any announcements to make from closed session? Did we take any actions?
Yes, Mayor. First and foremost, the council authorized the city attorney to defend the city. It's listed under items F1 and item F4. And then also from an announcement standpoint, present in closed session tonight was outside legal counsel John Milner for items F2 and F3.
And if I may, the votes were unanimous 4-0 with Councilmember Lowenstein being absent on both the motions to defend.
Okay, thank you, Mike and Mike. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to a regular council meeting.
So moved.
Second. Okay, motion by Councilmember Horvath, second by Councilmember Narenheim. Any objections? Okay, so ordered. Now I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the City Council. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Narenheim.
Here.
Councilmember Horvath.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Mayor Brand. Mayor Brand, you're there.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here. All right, let's all rise and salute the flag. Repeat after me. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you, folks. We'll move right to announcements by council members. Councilmember Narenheim, do you have any announcements for tonight?
I do. I had a wonderful community meeting this last weekend at Alta Vista Community Center in person. I've got my online community meeting coming up on Thursday, April 21st. And it's not the same night as Councilmember Lowenstein. I'm going to have our new police chief on there for our community meeting to do an intro and say hello. Other than that, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lowenstein is absent tonight. Councilmember Horvath, did you have any announcements for tonight?
Yeah, District 3 community meeting Saturday, the 23rd, 9:30 to 11 a.m.
Okay, Councilmember Obaji.
I wanted to thank you, Mayor Brand, and Councilmember Narenheim for coming out and walking with the residents. I think it's of North District 3, but a lot of residents on the east side of our city who live right next to the rail line for going to the walk with Metro. And the turnout was so huge, thanks to one of our residents, Nikki Negrete Mitchell, sending out notices that they had to split the group into two, and they only had one scribe for the two different groups. And it sent a powerful message as to what our residents want, which is do not run the trains, the Metro trains, through our backyards. And it was actually, one resident invited us to her backyard, and we're standing there and we could hear the train coming, the regular oil train coming down, and you know it's coming. And then when it sounds its horn, it shook you. So it was a great opportunity to hear a lot of the residents' questions, pose our own questions, and really find out where Metro has not answered the important safety questions that we have about putting a rail right two Metro trains right next to an oil carrying train, and especially at different grades if that's the case. So powerful showing, and thank you guys for supporting that cause up here in the north. Okay, and I know Councilman MD is not here right now, be here later.
And I'll just echo Councilmember Obaji. It was a great turnout yesterday. For those that are listening that were there and know about it, it was extremely important to have that kind of turnout. It was in the neighborhood of 50 people at 11:30 on a Monday morning. So it definitely sent a very strong message, and it's an important message, and it does matter that you have that kind of turnout and you have those kinds of objections and concerns being expressed. And I had a follow-up meeting today with Supervisor Holly Mitchell's office. She's on the board of Metro. And one of the pieces of information we got out of the staff yesterday was that the decision will be made in about a year. So that's an estimate, but it's important to stay engaged. We're going to continue to be engaged. We'll be sending a follow-up letter expressing more of our concerns with running the Green Line extension down the right-of-way and next to something in the neighborhood of 400 neighbors in Redondo Beach. So that was huge. Also, I'd like to point out Sunday is Easter Sunday, and they'll be having a service in Veterans Park for those of you that are interested. Begins at 8 o'clock. So many thanks to the local churches that are putting that on. That's always a great event, regardless of your religious persuasion. It's always great to turn out with the public and yeah, especially early in the morning, beautiful morning. It's always a wonderful event. So with that, I guess we'll move into our meeting. Approval of order of agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda anybody would like to make, or approval?
Mayor, if I could, I'd respectfully like to request that we defer item N3 with regard to our in lieu park and recreation fees. We are in the middle of our housing element certification process, and I'd like to defer that matter until we can digest some additional material received today from HCD to a later date.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as is, except item, what is that?
N3.
N3?
Yeah.
Except N3, to not do N3.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call vote. It shouldn't be long. Councilmember Nairnut.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowenstein absent. Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Obaji.
Aye.
And Councilmember MD is absent. So there you go. Moving right along. Next up is blue folder items. I know we have some blue folder items. Vicky, would you like to?
We do, yes, sir. There are two items presented under blue folder. It's J1, Public Communications. And under N5, we have the title is Discussion and Possible Action to Staff regarding the partnering with OHM Connect to build a virtual power plant. The attachments would be administrative report, slide 6 of the AES PowerPoint presentation from the March 10, 2022 meeting, info sheet on possible or OHM Connect partnership, and PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, is there a motion to admit those to the record?
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Second, okay. Any objections? Okay, so ordered. Next up is tonight's consent calendar. We only have 4 items on the consent calendar. We normally approve these all in one vote. Any member can pull any item, and any member of the public can comment on any item. So I'll go through the council. Councilmember Narenheim, are there any consent calendar items you'd like to pull?
I do not have anything I'd like to pull, no.
Councilmember Horvath.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Obaji.
I have a question. Can I just pose a quick question? Is there supposed to be a on H4? Is there supposed to be a packet on the alternative to Pyro Spectacular's proposal?
In terms of, you're asking the question about the drone show?
Yes.
Yeah, that was an informational report. So the information's in the report. It's a received file. I think the best time for us to contemplate that alternative will be as we move through the budget this year and whether or not we want to do something beyond this year's 4th of July fireworks.
What's the name of the company that was doing that? Just because I can't, it's not, I don't think it's bookmarked. So I'm trying to find it. Do we know?
I'm sorry, I missed that question, Councilman.
What is the name of the company who gave us, or what is the name is it just part of the report that we have information about the?
Yes, so
Okay, cool. All
the
right.
staff report includes all the cost analysis we did in
Right.
regards to the drone shows and the research that part of that.
Cool. Thank you. That's it.
Sky Elements Drone Show is the name of it, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Okay, are there any public comments on the consent calendar?
No, there are none.
Okay, well, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilmember Horvath, second by Councilmember Narenheim. I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Narenheim,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowenstein absent, Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Obaji,
All
and Councilmember MD absent. So I guess you need to read a couple things, yeah, Vicky?
No, actually, we do not have any resolutions or ordinances under consent, so we're okay.
Oh, you don't? Okay, well, there you go. All right, well, moving right along, there were no excluded consent calendar items or public participation on non-agenda items. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on anything that is not on our agenda tonight. Everybody has 3 minutes. And do we have any takers tonight, Vicky?
We had 2 registered attendees. They have not raised their hand yet, so I'm going to actually defer to e-comment for right now. We do have 2 comments submitted, and Melissa Villa will read those.
Our first comment was submitted by Mark Nelson, Mayor and Council. BCHD is current prosecuting a conditional use permit and Planning Commission design review with the City of Redondo Beach. As you are aware, BCHD self-certified its CEQA process, despite the fact that it passed on being lead agency for both the 510 and 520 medical office buildings. As such, the public has little confidence in the findings of BCHD within its final EIR. I have come to understand that the City of Redondo Beach Planning Department has transmitted comments to BCHD on April 1st, 2022, regarding BCHD's pre-cup application. City Planning is using the exemption from disclosure allowance in the Public Records Act to deny release of its comments to the public. Nowhere does the Public Records Act mandate non-disclosure. The actions between 2 public taxpayer-funded agencies should be transparent, and the public should have the opportunity to review and comment at every step in the process, not at a single planning commission meeting with a 10-day legal notice the size of a file card in a weekly newspaper. Please direct the Planning Commission and Department to release all communications from BCHD and from planning back to BCHD. Anything less will surely generate even more neighborhood opposition to the inconsistent and incompatible project, along with council appeal and other actions as necessary. Thank you. And then our second comment was submitted by Ron Morocco. The Historical Museum at Dominguez Park is having an open house on April 30th from 1 to 4 p.m. We will also be celebrating the city's 130th birthday by hosting an exhibition of the art of Cesar Hernandez. Mr. Hernandez was a 5th-generation California, a longtime Redondo resident, an award-winning art teacher at the high school. His watercolor works are vibrant and have been exhibited locally and nationally. Please stop by. And that's the end of our public comment.
Okay,
It appears to have, we have no other public comments and from the non-agenda items.
okay, thank you then. Moving right along to our public hearing. We'll do ex parte communications. Public hearing is to solicit input on public service grant recommendations for the draft fiscal year 2022-2023 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. So, Council Member Narenheim, do you have any ex parte communications to discuss about this item?
Yeah, I talked about this with the public, my community meeting, some other places, talking with city staff, and I believe you, but no other council members.
Okay, Council Member Horvath.
None.
Council Member Obaji.
None, except the city manager told me it was going to be on agenda.
Okay, I spoke with the city manager as well as Councilmember Narenheim about item L1. So with that, I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Horvath, second by Councilmember Narenheim. Any objections? Okay, so order. Public hearing is open. So So with that, I guess Cameron Harding, our Community Services Director, you'll be giving the presentation.
Actually, excuse me. Actually, no, Mayor. We have our CDBG consultant, Joyce Lee from Michael Baker International on with us, and she will be giving the presentation tonight. So with that, I'll hand things over to Joyce. Welcome, Joyce.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and share the presentation. Here we go. Well, thank you for having me here tonight. I will be presenting on the first public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant CDBG Program Fiscal Year 2022-2023 Annual Action Plan. So what is CDBG? CDBG provides grants on a yearly basis to participating jurisdictions to provide decent housing, livable environments, and to expand economic opportunities for low and moderate income persons. So with that, how do we allocate funds for eligible programs? Well, this is reflective of our 5-year consolidated plan. The city is required to submit a 5-year plan as an application to receive these funds. And then the CON plan, or also known as the 5-year consolidated plan, is the framework that guides allocations and funded activities through CDBG funds. So the plan does include a detailed analysis of the housing market, demographics, and community needs in Redondo Beach. And this does coincide with our annual action plan with CDBG funds. So the city has completed the 5-year plan for the years 2020 to 2025, and we are expected to receive $285,916 in CDBG funds. And the city is required to complete an annual action plan prior to the HUD funding appropriations. So the purpose of the annual action plan, like I stated earlier, the annual action plan does work with the consolidated plan. This specific annual action plan for fiscal year 22-23 will outline the specific activities that will be conducted and funded through these CDBG funds. In this CDBG funding trend chart, you can see that we have been slowly receiving a lesser amount of CDBG funds by HUD. As I stated before, we are expected to receive $285,916. So we have yet to receive our final allocations from HUD. They did release a notice CPD 22-05 informing all jurisdictions participating in the CDBG program that we should receive our final allocations on May 13th. And they did explicitly state that we should be submitting our annual action plans after we receive our actual allocations. So we will be appearing at City Council for a second time in June with our final allocations.
Joyce, let me interrupt you. Are these percentages adjustable by?
So we can adjust the public facilities improvements and the MAER program, but our 20% cap for the administration of fair housing and our 15% cap for public service agency fundings are set in stone.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, we would like to recommend funding for our 5 public service agencies. That is 1736 Family Crisis Center, Redondo Beach Salvation Army Meals on Wheels program, Venice Family Clinic, formerly known as South Bay Healthcare Center, St. Paul's United Methodist Church Project Needs, as well as Disability Community Resource Center. So we do require all public service agencies to submit an application for the next fiscal year. And our invitations and applications were sent out on January 13th, and applications were submitted and due on February 17th. So we did reach out to these 5 organizations as well, an additional 5 not listed, who are CityNet, Exodus Recovery, Harbor Interface Services, and Swami International, excuse me. And out of the 10 organizations that we reached out to, only these 5 have applied, and we would like to recommend them for funding. We also have HRC Housing Rights Center, 1736 Family Crisis Center, DCRC Disability Community Resource Center, and Venice Family Clinic available here today to answer any questions related to their programs. We would like to also recommend funding for the Mobility Access and Emergency Repair Program, as well as the citywide curb ramps program. The MAER program is essentially a program that provides a $5,000 grant to seniors and disabled residents in Redondo Beach for specific repairs, maintaining their emergency repairs, such as heating repairs, or mobility repairs, such as wheelchair ramps or lifts. Our citywide curb ramp program will provide accessible routes for people with disabilities so that they may be able to transition from the road to a curb sidewalk. And of course, these are all done in ADA compliance, also known as Americans with Disabilities Act. So as I mentioned before, the HUD waiver CPD 22-05 did change our schedule a little bit. So we did have to amend that. So we are here today for the City Council first public hearing. Our 30-day review will begin tomorrow, April 13th, and end May 13th. And we will be coming back to City Council in June, for the second public hearing for your final review and adoption. And then we will be submitting to HUD on June 30th of 2022. So the overall procedures to wrap this up is to hold our 2 public hearings and solicit input from our residents and interested parties regarding the fiscal year 22-23 annual action plan, to consider public service grant recommendations, and then to finally adopt the 22-23 annual action plan. Thank you, and I am available to take any questions.
Thank you, Joyce. What was the community program? I didn't see them on your list that provided dental care for children of families in need. And is that the Family Crisis Center, or am I missing something here?
So that was formerly South Bay Healthcare Center, and we did have a partnership with them, but they merged to Venice Family Clinic. And I do have Venice Family Clinic to speak a little bit more about their new proposed program.
Okay, because I know they have a facility over in Camino Real, and we've been providing funds to them for, well, ever since I've been up here for 13 years.
Right.
So it would be good to know what's happening with that.
Hi, I can speak to that. My name is Anita Zamora. I'm the Deputy Director and Chief Operations Officer at Venice Family Clinic, and thanks for having.
Yeah, you can stop sharing your screen, Joyce, so that we can see each other.
Sounds good.
So as Joyce said, Venice Family Clinic is a community health center, and we merged with South Bay Family Healthcare in November. And we, both of our entities have been around for over 50 years, so long serving the community. Prior to the merger, South Bay Family Healthcare has been providing dental services. As a merged organization, we will continue to provide dental services. We actually provide full scope primary care in addition to other comprehensive healthcare services, such as behavioral health, substance use services, dental. So none of that is changing. But our request for this is focused on behavioral health. It's especially with the pandemic, real crisis for folks. And we want to be able to also expand the services to include behavioral health for families and children, which is something that previously South Bay Family Healthcare wasn't able to do. So particularly at the location in Redondo Beach, which will retain the name South Bay Family Healthcare at that facility.
So with these monies, and hi, Anita, thanks for coming on. And with these monies in your merge, and I guess they're still at the locale, they'll still be providing dental care for children in families of need?
Absolutely. We're still providing dental care, and really all of the services that South Bay Family Healthcare was providing remain. We're committed to keeping the presence in the community. And what we do hope is that we'll actually just be able to expand and augment what we're doing.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here with the United Methodist Church?
Unfortunately, not today. On Tuesdays, they do serve people experiencing homelessness. That is the day where they serve hot meals. So unfortunately, Donna Barr was not available today.
The Methodist Church on Broadway and Torrance Boulevard?
Yes.
No, St. Paul's is in District 5, Bill.
Oh, thank you.
You're thinking of First United Methodist, and the council chose to defund them from this program about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Nairn.
You're muted, Nils.
Hey, sorry. You had my question done for the El Camino aspect, and then the other one as well, the second question that you had as well. Mr. Wozansky, I thought we talked about that earlier. I guess I had the wrong one. We were talking about that, right?
Yeah, I just had the same thought. I think we had the wrong Methodist Church.
Okay. All right, that's okay. My question is if the public wanted to have different projects to bring forward in, let's see here, what is this called here? The public facilities improvements. What's the scope of the public facilities improvements that we could ask for other than ADA on the curbs? I know we do the curb cuts for ADA, but what else could we do on public facilities improvements for parks or whatever else?
Well, with federal funds, as you may know, can be a little tricky. If we are to do, let's say, maybe a revamp of a community center, that center would have to be very meticulously documented that is only being served to serve low and moderate income persons. So we can definitely do that, and we can provide the scope and look into more detail if that is the way that council would like to go. We will most definitely prepare that for you for our next meeting. But we did go with ADA ramp improvements because it does help as well. It does serve, and it does serve the low and moderate income persons in the area.
Okay. And when it comes to the ADA requirements for private homes, how does members of the public, how do they apply to get some of that funding if they need the help for ADA requirements in their homes?
Of course, definitely they can email us. We do have our applications online, and we have been working with the community services and their social media to get the word out. They do apply through an application. They do have to be homeowners in Redondo Beach, and they do have to income qualify. That is the main part that we do have to adhere to, is that they income qualify for the low and moderate income status.
You have a phone number they can call, Anita?
Yes. Should I just say that right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I can I can be reached at 562-753-2832. Again, it's 562-753-2832. And this is for the Mobility Access Emergency Repair Program.
Great.
It's not just for seniors, right? It's for anybody that's disabled that could qualify, income qualify for ramps up to their front door, bars in their bathroom, things like that.
Yes.
Last question. How do we increase the amount of money we get? We get roughly $285,000 here. Is that number reliant upon how many vouchers that we give out, or some other metric, or is it done by population? How does that divvied out?
So it is a final amount given by HUD. It is reflective of the population and what HUD views as the needs of the city. So with our consolidated plan, we're able to show this is what we need to do. This is what we've found out through our community outreach from doing our market analysis. And that is the number that they do come up with. And unfortunately, we don't have too much of a say of how much we can get.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, I don't see any other hands up. Is there any comments from the public on this item?
No one has raised their hand and we have nothing on e-comment for this item, sir.
Motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Actually, you don't want to close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to
Continue
continue
it.
the public hearing. Thank
Yeah.
you, Vicky.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion to continue the public hearing. Motion by Councilmember Horvath, second by Councilmember Narenheim. I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Narenheim.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowenstein absent. Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Obaji.
Aye.
And Councilmember MD still absent. So there you go. Passes. All right. Moving right along, that will be coming back. We're moving on to item N1, discussion possible action to approve the proposed Leadership Redondo class of 2021 project to provide facade and amenity upgrades to the pallet shelter facility located on Kingsdale Avenue. Elizabeth House.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight for your consideration is the approval of the Leadership Redondo class of 2021 project. As their project, they are proposing to provide facade and amenity upgrades to the pallet shelter facility located on Kingsdale Avenue. The project would be coordinated with Harbor Interfaith, and the project does not require any city funds to be used. We do have class representatives here tonight who are going to go ahead and provide you with a presentation of their proposed project, and they'll be available to answer any questions you may have. So with that, I will hand it over to Tommy Immer, Penny Worsing, and Nikki Vasquez.
Great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'd like to share my screen if that's okay.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Great. And I can't see it. Great. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you tonight. We are Leadership Redondo, class of 2021. We've named ourselves Team Collabs. Much of our class was virtual due to COVID, but we were able to meet a few times when there was a lull in COVID cases and before Omicron had been identified. But needless to say, we had to creatively find ways to become a team and to form that bond that is needed for a team to make a difference. It also forced us to reflect on what was the greatest need in our area at the time. And we determined that need was to help our fellow citizens who are working to improve their lives.
And so our team decided to put its focus on the pallet shelter, which we like to call the tiny home shelter in Redondo Beach, and the transitional housing program in place there with Harbor Interfaith Services.
The scope of this project is to assist the city improve the tiny homes to create a more comfortable living space for residents of the program during their stay. We worked with Harbor Interfaith Services and found the following needs: sturdy outdoor tables and shade for residents, painting the tiny home exteriors, and purchasing additional amenities such as comforters, towels, shower caddies, and doormats. The following illustration shows you a before and after concept of the outdoor area with that sturdy gazebo that we were talking about, picnic tables, and those translucent walls and doors that can help protect from the elements. This slide illustrates the concept of the exterior paint colors and design. Harbor Interfaith and our team explored lots of ideas for colors, but ultimately settled on a palette of neutral blues and grays. The idea stemmed from the need to be practical, i.e. Easier to maintain and cost of paint. The paint for this is actually really expensive, and a desire to have an attractive home by today's standards and styles.
This slide is examples of the additional amenities that we spoke about that we were told that was currently needed. It includes doormats, comforters, bath towels, and toiletry caddies. Some additional information that we wanted to share with you guys is these tiny homes currently house one resident in each unit, but they are built to house two. Once health orders are lifted, they do plan to accommodate the 2 residents per unit. And there are currently 15 units, but we believe the city has purchased additional 3 units, so that would make it 18. So we've projected, our project addresses all 18 units with double occupancy.
You can see our proposed timeline on this slide. We, of course, hope that encourage you to approve this evening so that we can begin our fundraising. We are planning for the installation of improvements in August. As we understand that the 3 new units ordered by the city should be here by then. And our dedication ceremony is currently planned for September. Here is our budget. We have projected that we need to raise $15,000 to complete everything. All of the labor will come from our class. We will also encourage any current residents who want to help. Note that there may be a additional professional labor associated with the setup of the gazebo, given the nature of the structure.
Fundraising can begin as soon as we get City Council's blessing. Our fundraising efforts will consist of the following: website creation and an email campaign, along with assets such as video assets, basically telling the story of the shelter and what we're looking to do. And in fact, we have a 3-minute video, if time allows, that we would love to show you that really gives more color into what this program does. We also plan to hold a silent auction, seek out grants, and in-kind donations. So on behalf of everyone, our entire class of Leadership Redondo Class 2021, we want to thank you again for this opportunity. And at this time, we'd like to turn it back to City Council for any questions. And we would love to show that video if we can, 3 more minutes could be allowed.
Yeah, why don't you do that, Thomas? That would be fantastic.
Okay.
Me.
Is there sound?
We have the
Can
audio.
you-
You have to share your sound.
Oh, I'm sorry. Stop.
Go back, start over,
Start
share
over.
your sound first.
Okay.
And then start it.
Sorry.
We had this earlier today, that's why.
Yes. Okay.
You might want to stop share and then do it again.
Stop sharing, and when you pull up the
There you go.
share screen,
Got it.
check the box in the bottom left.
Yep,
Share sound. Thank you.
and then play it again.
Okay.
Share the screen again, pick what you want to share, and it should play now.
Oh, it's not going to let me do this. I have to restart my audio. So I do apologize.
It's there.
Yeah, there it is, try it.
It is, but I don't think it's going to allow me to share the audio.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to you gotta start over, you have to unshare. Yeah, you have to unshare,
All right,
And
maybe she can figure that
turn
out.
your sound on, and then reshare it.
Yes. Okay. The problem is that when I try to do that, it says that I have to restart.
You want me to share it? I have.
Yes, if you
Yeah.
could, please. My
Great.
apologies.
Sorry, Penny. We flipped the coin on who was going to do the sharing, and you won.
Hey, the PowerPoint worked well.
Now the pressure's on for me, huh?
Yeah, I think it's much pressure. I think it's gonna get approved, whether this works or not.
It is a great video, though.
All right, I got it.
Doing?
We're here with Leadership Redondo.
We want to give people a sense of like what it is that's here and what we're looking to do.
My name's Sherry Weaver. I'm the Coordinated Entry System Director for Harbor Interface Services.
I'm Ramon. I'm the City Coordinator with Harbor Interface Services.
I've always intuitively known that I wanted to help people.
I don't know why I do it. I just know that it came to me easily, so that means it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Our shelter over in Redondo Beach, which is the pallet shelter, started in December 28th of 2020. Yes, I remember the precise date because I was there when it opened.
So there's 15 pallets.
And are they usually always full?
They're usually always full, yeah.
With the wait list, I'm assuming.
There is a wait list, and then sometimes there's a need for someone on the street, and we'll kind of, bring them in immediately.
I tell people all the time, imagine starting your day without housing. How would that have changed your day? Everything from taking a shower to having some place to secure, even just your personal belongings. It would have been dramatically different.
There's like about 3 meals a day that the Beacon House of San Pedro provides, another nonprofit. So it's like we're all trying to work in the community to help support each other.
Having these resources is a blessing to say the least, but really is the beginnings of a pathway to get folks into permanent housing and ending their homelessness.
So 23 people have been housed since this opened.
That's amazing.
This year, the class of 2021 has chosen to support the tiny home shelter in Redondo Beach.
And in addition, bring awareness of this great program to our community.
Our support includes beautification of the tiny homes,
A more secure and solid gazebo,
and requested supplies such as comforters, doormats, and toiletry caddies.
Those gestures, that acknowledgement from the community really does mean a lot. And it takes people from a place of feeling hopeless to hopeful.
Will you help us complete this project? Every dollar raised or donated goes directly to this effort. Because every person deserves a chance to live a better life.
We are all volunteers, here to make a difference.
And with your help, we can do that.
You can help with a cash donation, donating in-kind new items, or if you own a local business, an auction item for our upcoming event.
Every dollar raised gives someone a little bit more hope for the future.
We are Leadership Redondo, Class of 2021, Team Collabs.
Please help us by going to the Redondo Beach Chamber of Commerce website.
I would love to see Leadership Redondo Beach do this for us.
Thanks, guys.
That was a great video.
Thank you.
That was a fantastic video, you guys. I've seen a lot of leadership class projects come through. This is definitely one of the better ones I've seen. It's manageable. It's something you're going to get done, and it's just so helpful to such a fantastic program. Really, you guys demonstrate a lot of insight into picking this project and organizing it. The video is fantastic. Wish you all the luck. I don't see any reason why you won't get to your goal. And it's just a fantastic project and very timely. So way to go. That's all I got to say. Councilmember Obaji.
I just wanted to commend you guys for this project. I love it. Pallet Shelters is kind of dear to my heart. And I think it's helped a lot of homeless folks and helped a lot of folks get off the street. So anything to enhance it is really fantastic. And I'd seen some on Instagram. I'd seen some pallet homes that were like colorful and the like. So this is very necessary. So commend you on that, Tommy, or one of y'all. Usually you're trying to get me to come speak at the NRBVA, but I'd like to invite one of you all to come present this at my next community meeting. When I schedule that, I think that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely.
We'd love to.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'd move to support this, given the approval.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Obaji, second by Councilmember Horvath. Is there any public comment on this?
No, sir, there is not.
Councilmember Nierenheim.
Thank you, Mayor Brand. I want to thank you guys, your leadership class, for coming up with this idea, because there's a lot of projects, a lot of things in need, but the comment in the video about, or maybe it was a comment a minute ago, about giving people hope and faith and like taking pride, right? And that pride is what is really important, because I noticed that myself when I worked one of these locations. is people had the pride when they showed up. If you don't allow them to express that or take some ownership with what's going on, that's the first little step, right? We take for granted a shower or a home or a place, a warm place to sleep. And for them to be able to have something and then maybe do a little additional modification with a little home sweet home, they get like, hey, this is huge gratitude. So I really want to thank you guys for this. It shows that this has become a great success. And as the video said, 23 people so far have found on the housing. So we're doing our part. I think it's just awesome. It really warms my heart. Thank you very much. And let me know how the fundraising goes. I'm more than happy to bring you guys to my community meeting, both online and in person. And I'll put that link around and, we'll get you guys your money lickety split, no problem. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Councilmember Horvath.
Yeah, and I just want to say, big shout out to Nikki and Penny, because, and Tommy, I don't know about if you were also, a brainchild of this, but, talking with them over the past 9 months, this was an early idea and they fought for it with their Leadership Redondo class and, texting back and forth with Nikki the day that they were trying to choose their project. So I'm just really glad that it worked out and, glad to have just been there to support. So this is going to be great. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your help, Christian, because you did help us too with the information that we needed.
Okay, well, there's a motion in a second. I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Narenheim.
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Member Lowenstein is absent. Councilmember Obaji.
Aye.
And Councilmember MD is absent. So there you go, folks. You're off to the races.
Thanks
you,
again,
guys.
Thank you so much for your time, everybody.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for your
you.
work. Thanks for your hard work and to be continued.
Absolutely.
How we can help. Looking forward to getting this done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Send out a link to that video so we can share it.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
we'll get it out
definitely.
there.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good to see Ramon and Sherry. Okay, somebody stop sharing their screen. Or am I looking at something else?
Looking at something else.
I'm looking at something else. I don't know what happened to my screen.
Top right corner, change your view maybe, Bill.
Yeah, I thought so. I don't know what's going on. I'll figure it out.
Still on Mac.
Yeah, right.
Click on the little Zoom icon. It should bring it up to the top.
Yeah, right. There we go. Thank you, Zane. Okay. That's it for that. What's next on our agenda? Give me a second here, folks. Item N2, discussion and possible action regarding council participation in future public meetings via teleconference pursuant to the Brown Act. So this is where we make decisions about basically how to prioritize who and how we allow people to participate going forward remotely. So Mike Wodzinski, our city manager, and Eleanor.
Yeah, I'll cover the item tonight. Eleanor's not able to be with us this evening. Vicki, if you have any questions from the clerk's office, we'll be available to answer some of those questions. It's pretty straightforward. As you mentioned, Mayor, it's a two-part item. The first is to review from a final standpoint your rules of conduct from a council meeting standpoint, which have been updated to include the opportunity for telecommuting or remote meetings for future meetings. The final edits have been made based on the direction you provided to us at the prior meeting. This, I think, is our third discussion on this matter, and these now reflect all of your intent. The second part of the discussion is to affirm that we all want to return to in-person meetings on May 3rd. We took a bit of an action as part of our council meeting last week when we cited the May 3rd date as the date for the parade and proclamation celebration of the two local AYSO teams who were successful in Western state tournaments. So I think our intention here is clear to return to our first in-person meeting on May 3rd. We're excited about the parade being kind of a preamble and creating some community atmosphere. We feel good about where we are currently with the pandemic. We know there's some recent tweaking the data that gives some cause for perhaps pause, but I think we're optimistic that we can return in person on May 3rd, and that is ultimately our recommendation, that we host our first in-person council meeting in the new updated council chambers on May 3rd, and that ultimately you adopt the revised rules of conduct policy to allow for telecommuting under certain circumstances in the future based on the rules that you've prescribed.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Councilmember Nairn.
Thank you, Mayor Brand. Not to throw a wrinkle in this at all, but, I've talked to a lot of residents about the Zoom and online option, and while we have the chance, is it possible for us to still do one council meeting a month, like the second council meeting a month? Like today, for instance, tonight, we have Councilmember MD who will join us later on, one remote and then the other two in person. Because when I talk about this with constituents, people appreciate the online format. It makes it easier to attend, easier to comment. And then, of course, it leads down a whole path for commissions we can have a separate discussion on. But just for the council meetings, then maybe we can change it in the charter if we needed to, if that's required.
Yeah, it's a great question, and one we've thought about a little bit too internally. It would be nice to continue some forum for public exchange this way. In fact, I was in preparation for budget discussions here in a couple of months. We were doing some research on the price for us to go back to biannual strategic planning meetings, and I was thinking, well, man, we had a lot of success in that Zoom format, and maybe we have one Zoom meeting for strategic planning, and then we have one in-person meeting. And of course, there's different costs to bring our consultant down for both. So I sort of grappled with that same question. I think the short answer, and we can do more research into that possibility, but it seems as we read this bill, and Mike did a little more research on it today as well, it seems that it's kind of, we have to sort of decide one of two things. We have to decide that we still believe that there's an imminent threat and therefore need to continue to meet remotely, or we have to take kind of a hybrid approach and espouse that we still believe in social distancing as being very important. So there's occasion whereby we still need to ensure that that can occur. It's difficult for us to walk kind of both lines under the bill and under the law and say, yeah, we're good to come in person on first Tuesdays, but we want to meet remotely on the second Tuesday. So I think, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, our read of the bill today, it doesn't give us that flexibility. But that's not to say we can't, keep looking into it. And the state, I do believe the state intended to provide that flexibility, but I don't think they wrote it the way that we would have all liked to give us that opportunity. I don't know, Mike, if you wanted to add anything to that, but that's our kind of basic read of it thus far.
Well, I think, and that is all correct. I think Councilman Nierenheim is asking a slightly different question. So if I heard him correct, he's saying, hey, can we just have one where everyone is present? No one is present. And you could, although we need to make changes to local law, but you'd have to, you'd still have to have a majority within Redondo. And the big issue is that with the hybrid model, you have to invite people into whatever location that you're at. That's the part that was gone. That's going to disappear with hybrid, because that only works when you're having an emergency and you have social distancing or it's not safe. Well, if it's safe for you to sit right next to each other in the chambers and we open it up to the public, it's hard to say that we can't comply with the state law that allows, that requires that every location be open to members of the public.
Yeah, I the way I see it is this, if you're going to get exposure on the first meeting of the month, and everyone needs the quarantine, then you can go to then you can just say the second meeting is, hey, someone was exposed or possibly exposed. Let's, we don't shut down city business, and we don't want to have we still don't have everyone available. That's kind of where I looked at it and said, if there's an exposure at the first meeting, then you don't do the exposure at the second meeting. And then the third meeting you have in person, then you still have another week or 2 weeks between the meetings. So that's where I was going. And you are correct, Mr. Webb, regarding The other part of the question with changing the local laws, of course, the Brown Act is you have to invite people in to where you're at. So yeah, that's yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, and it would be optimal. I mean, honestly, I would love for us to go to a format where first and third meetings are in person in the chambers, and if we have a second and fourth meeting on a Tuesday, it would be via Zoom. That would be ideal.
And that means the commission meetings are under a Brown Act as well, which means they have to go back in person as well. Everyone has to go back in person.
Yeah, this will apply to everybody in May. So when we go, if we opt to go back third, we're bringing everybody back in May.
Right. So it would only be a non-Brown Act meeting that we could do an virtual meeting with. Okay.
You're muted, Mike.
One of the items that I'll bring back to you, I think next week as a possibility for you sending to the Charter Review Committee is the charter sections that says all meetings shall be held at City Hall. So at least you'd have the flexibility, absent a public health emergency, to have Zoom meetings, but you just have to have all your locations be accessible to members of the public.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Horvath.
So two quick questions, Mike, Webb. One, so, numbers are starting to go back up, right? And that could, of course, happen at any time. In a situation where all of a sudden county DPH decided that, hey, they're going to put vaster restrictions on people, getting together indoors, then do we just have to file a new AB 361 like at a meeting and say, hey, we're going virtual again to meet with the emergency?
Yep.
Okay.
And
yeah, we would do what we've done.
We would, and specifically, it has to do with social distancing, and all they have to do is recommend social distancing. So it doesn't include masking, which is already recommended.
Right.
So if they recommend at any point social distancing, and you still have a county or local city emergency and ordinance, then yeah, every month you'd update that, and you could go to teleconferencing without these additional traditional Brand Act rules. It's just right now I can't find any recommended social distancing provisions.
Got it. Second question. I've heard, rumblings about some potential bills, to modify the Brown Act. Do you have any information on what's happening up in Sacramento? Because I think, this has created a situation where, like what we're talking about here, and actually that was a really good idea by Mills, like to create more flexibility within the Brown Act, to allow for this type of hybrid virtual type scenario. Do you have any insight into that or no? Because I haven't done any research.
I'm not certain which Mike. I don't have any research, any insight into Sacramento generally. But Mike and Elizabeth and I spoke, and we talked about the fact that it could very well change, and that this bill sunsets in 2024. They have new ones that take place on 2024, and I'm not certain this bill does what it intended to do, because in the digest and the analysis, it says they intended to have remove all those provisions of the Brown Act, like the admission of the public at every teleconference location. But in fact, what they did is they reiterated that, and then they provided exceptions in under three circumstances. And those were what I just was talking about, where a county health official recommends social distancing. So it's a long answer to, I think we'll look at that as we get closer to the end of the year. And then we'd certainly bring back to you any changes to the law that affect that.
Okay. And to answer just anecdotally, I've heard similar rumblings in our regional city manager group meetings that there has been some talk about more permanent changes to the Brown Act that recognize the new technology that's available to the public. and that they may actually revisit certain requirements that are associated with it. So I've heard that same thought, but I haven't seen anything yet in a bill that would permanentize that.
Okay.
But if you want me to research that, you can. I wasn't.
No, I just didn't
wasn't-
know as a part of this item if you guys had just come across anything. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, I was just asked to look at the hybrid model and whether we could continue the way we've been going. And unfortunately, the answer appears to be no.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I mean, I'll be, I will be there masked. You know, I don't mind coming back, but I'm not going maskless yet. And that's just a family decision we've made. So, and I've been doing that in Rolling Hills for the past 5 months and it hasn't been an issue. So, all right, thanks.
Okay, Councilmember Obaji.
I empathize with the point that Councilmember Nierenheim was making, especially as a single dad. I certainly wouldn't mind staying here a couple of times, but at the same time, I also think that there's a prohibition to public participation, or at least a larger barrier in the Zoom setting, because it takes somebody very scrupulous to be able to tell how to sign up. Like, take a look at these rules for the city council meeting. The city clerk is hyperlinked here, and you could click on it and it'll lead you to email the city clerk. But take a look at the very first page of our Zoom meeting, our agenda, and it tells you how to connect. And when you can't pause that for a second, but you see, oh, there you go. When I highlight it, it highlights not just the link, but the term after, and it's not hyperlinked. So it's not very easy to get people to join these Zooms. And it's actually a pain in the butt to post to social media, copy and paste it on your phone and share it. And I've talked about this since I first got on council, and I'm kind of in shock that the city has, or the city clerk for that matter, sorry, Vicky, has still not been able to fix this and increase public access to this very important public proceeding. But that's all. I'll support going back to in person, because everybody knows all you got to do is show up to council. Thank you.
That may be a limitation of the Granicus software they're using too.
It's a PDF. It's a PDF.
No. They use the Granicus software generates the agenda PDF, and it's not the best in terms of being it's not, there's a lot of rich text stuff that you can do in WordPress and whatnot, and Granicus is a bit, behind the ball. I'm just saying from working in it on a daily basis.
So that's one thing that we could, as a city, concentrate to fix. I mean,
I'm just letting you know. I don't know that Vicky is.
Put that link in afterwards.
You could do a tiny URL so that it's not this long convoluted multi, letter number combination. It's just, tiny.url./RB.
The length of the link isn't the issue, or the address isn't the issue. If it was a link that worked both for the YouTube and for joining Zoom meetings, I think we'd get more participation. Or if it was also a blue link. But
Okay, well, I just think if there was more attention given to the link, i.e. take the word after out, it would work fine. But I think it's a simple fix, and I think now the city clerk knows, and I think that'll hopefully be fixed by the next meeting.
If we can make it a hyperlink, we certainly would. It's not for lack of trying. As Councilmember Horvath explained, it's a rich text issue, and it's where it appears on the front of the agenda, and we can't turn that into a live link.
Well, why is the word after included in the link there?
I couldn't tell you that.
I mean, I would think that would be a simple.
And they would have to just remove that.
Somehow the word after was included. I would think whatever action was taken to include the word after could also be taken to exclude the word.
The same thing occurs relative to YouTube. So I think what Councilmember Horvath and the Deputy Clerk are saying is that this is automatically generated by Granicus, the company that we're essentially firing from doing our website, I think, right? Same company?
Yeah, we are not extending their agreement, but Granicus, unfortunately, is under contract for another couple of years as it pertains to hosting this software and tech. So we are struggling with Granicus every day, and I can tell you this is on about a list this long of frustrations on how they publish the agenda, on how they format items from a text standpoint. I'm still frustrated with some of the internal editing that we have to do to just change templates. So Mike's jumping on. This is not on the agenda. We'll save Granicus for another day.
Yes, thank you. Zane is Councilmember Obaji has made his point as to why he wants to see us, at least for the next 2 years, resume in person. But yes, the other items were going beyond. Thank you.
Okay, is there any public comment on either of these items?
We don't have anything under e-comment, and we do have a couple of more folks that have signed on to Zoom, and we need them to raise their hand if they want to speak on this item. They did not stipulate which items they wanted to speak specifically on. So at this time, it is time for any member of the public that's signed on to go ahead and raise their hand so that we can recognize you. Otherwise, we have no public comment on this item. Doesn't appear so.
Okay. All right, well, we got 2 actions that staff's looking forward to. One is to restart our meetings in person in May, and the other one is to approve these new rules of conduct. So I will entertain a motion to do either of both of those.
Motion to accept staff recommendations.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
I think that's clear, correct? Basically accept the rules of conduct and to restart the meetings in May. Okay, there's a motion by Councilmember Horvath, seconded by Councilmember Narenheim. I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Narenheim.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowenstein absent. Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Obaji.
I'll just say thanks for preparing those rules, and aye.
Yeah. Okay, and Councilmember MD is still absent. So there you go.
Thank you.
Excellent day. Thank you, Vicky. Next up, give me a second here, folks. Next up on our agenda is item N4. N3 was removed. N4 is discussion possible action on community development director's issuance of a second extension to the emergency coastal development permit issued for the temporary closure of the access ramp at Esplanade and Avenue A, which some of us are very familiar with. Brandy.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. As you may recall, back in November of this last year, the county had submitted an application for that emergency coastal development permit to close the access ramp on at Esplanade and Avenue A due to public safety concerns. The actual process to do that, they had an engineering report that supported that for public safety. It should have a temporary closure until that can be repaired or replaced. Subject to the Redondo Beach Municipal Code section on emergency coastal development permits, the Community Development Director may grant an emergency permit if the emergency exists and requires action more quickly than permanent application. So the emergency permit may be granted up to 60 days and requires that the applicant submit for that full coastal development permit for the corrective work as they move forward. I had issued the initial emergency permit on November 30th of 2021 for a period of 60 days as allowed by code. And with that, we have to post the notice. We have to provide a written and an oral report. And that's why this is a discussion item. So we did that for the initial emergency coastal development permit on December 7th. And then on January 27th, the county submitted an application to extend that. Again, we have to go through the same process. And that was approved and presented to City Council at the next meeting. And then they have submitted a third application. And what they had added and provided additional documentation on was, although they do have significant funding for the project, it's now anticipated the project cost will exceed the current funding allocation for those permanent improvements. So they are going to pursue that additional funding through the LA County annual budget process, which will occur this fall. And then concurrently, they are continuing to work on the plans, the engineering documents
for that permanent corrective work. So they're not waiting for the funding to continue that. They do have the funding to do the planning for it. So we can expect that, I did approve the second extension on April 7th, and per the procedures, we're here with the oral and written presentation of what the work is, what has been approved. Notice has been issued at the site as well for the closure. And I think we can expect that we're going to see this every 2 months. It'd be great if we could just have it on consent, but because it requires this oral report, we have to have it as a discussion item. But they are working towards getting that funding, and then as well finalizing engineering documents for the permanent work to be done. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Brandy. How much money is it going to cost to redo this ramp?
That I don't know, but I can certainly reach out to them and report back to you in 2 months.
Yeah, that'd be good to know. I'm glad to hear they're moving forward on it. I don't imagine if you had any kind of completion time frame if they get the funding in as part of their budget process.
Yeah, I think they estimated that it was going to take about a year to complete the work itself. That we'll have to go through and get that permanent coastal development permit, not the emergency one for work. But and they expect that it'll take about a year to complete because I think they're really redesigning it so that they're not going to have these collapsing issues going forward, and it's a little less steep.
I thought I would check my understanding with you. We have a certified coastal program, local coastal program. This is county land. This is a county facility. So because they fall within our local coastal program, they have to come to us for a coastal development permit. That's what's going on here.
Correct.
And the closure of it is an emergency. And so therefore we have to continue to consider their application to close it. I mean,
yeah, it's for safety purposes.
That's technically what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Narenhut.
Curiosity's sake, when are they going to be done with the design? When do we get to see the design? Is it going to be the same? And won't have to deal with ADA compliance issues. I mean, because there is an ADA ramp somewhere else.
Yeah, when they first reached out to us back in November on this, they had mentioned that they are going to be, it's going to be a different design. It's not just designing what they have in place. They don't want to have the same issues, as well as I was just saying that they don't want it to have that steep nature to it. So I think that they are doing some more switchbacks is what they're planning. We haven't seen those designs, but those were the things that they had just discussed with us generally of what they were looking to do. I'll see if they have anything conceptual that maybe we can back for the next report on this.
Yeah, I mean, if they have something, nothing to hold it up with. So I'll make a motion to approve the staff report and the CDP, emergency CDP. I don't think you need anything else.
Yeah, it's just to receive and file the report because I issue the permit.
All right, so then I'll make a motion to receive and file, and then we'll take public comment.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Narenheim, second by Councilmember Horvath. Is there any public comment on this item?
No new comments are submitted, and no one has raised their hand yet to speak on this item.
Okay. Well, it would be interesting to see their plans to make this ADA compliant. There's going to be some serious switchbacking going on there. That's a steep area for sure.
Yes.
So, might be why they need to go back and get more money. Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Narenheim.
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowenstein absent. Councilmember Obaji. And Councilmember MD is absent. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brandy. Our last item, discussion and possible action to staff regarding partnering with OhmConnect to build a virtual power plant. Mike Webb, City Attorney, is going to lead this.
Sorry for the delay.
No problem.
I'm looking to see if Leah Goodman has logged in yet. I'll start the presentation. So I attended for previous council direction, the March 10th meeting of the Regional Water Quality Control Board in Los Angeles via Zoom. And there was a fairly remarkable development. And let me see if I can share my screen. It's the slide that's in the PowerPoint, but AES spoke, and there was a PowerPoint slide, and in it, they had this last statement, the last bullet point, that AES is committed to retiring the Redondo Beach generating station in 22 months at the end of 2023. So they've not made such a statement before, at least publicly. And there is, as I mentioned in the staff report, a bit of a caveat, which is state agencies can order them to extend the power plant for a period of time. And so while we can be gladdened by it, we need to still be diligent. And one of the things, and I know, Mary, you've been asked about it in the past by state agencies, is what we're doing locally to help meet perceived shortage in energy. And the state clearly has, although we think there's sufficient energy and have thought so for a number of years to meet the state's needs, clearly the state doesn't agree or hasn't agreed. I think we're starting to see some movement on that behind the scenes, but one exciting thing that won't cost the city any money is the idea of building a virtual power plant, and we can partner with Home Connect, and it won't cost the city anything, and it's entirely voluntary program that the residents can opt in or out of. There's no that you have to opt out of it. You can opt into it. And with that, if I see her, I'm going to turn it over to Leah Goodman from Home Connect. Let me see.
I don't see her on mic. I mean, we can wait a little bit and take some comments. She probably wasn't expecting to be on this fast.
Yeah, I had guessed 9 to 9:30, so I said it would text, but you surprised me.
Yeah, I think Laura's going to be surprised too when she comes back and there's meetings over. Maybe you can explain it briefly anyway, what the virtual power plant is. I mean, it's kind of demand response, sort of opt-in option. I mean, I guess I could explain it, but I probably shouldn't because I'm sure I'll get something wrong. And
yeah, I think I could probably explain it, but I'm sure I'll get something wrong. Do you want to talk about your experience when the state has asked, what we're doing at the local level to?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, meeting power needs for all of California is everybody's responsibility. And Redondo Beach has certainly done their part, hosting a coastal power plant, gas-fired power plant. It used to be oil-fired for over 100 years, as well as the power lines to deliver that power to the grid. This was one of 19 power plants along the coast that fell under the regulations established 12 years ago by the Water Board. This is why everybody keeps hearing about the Water Board when we talk about power, because these 19 coastal power plants were using the ocean water to cool it. And so Redondo Beach fell under those, AES Redondo fell under those guidelines and was given a retirement date of December 31st, 2020, which has been extended because of, the perception that we need all power available for the next couple of years until we get more up to speed on a variety of ways to meet our power needs. And one of these is this virtual power plant. And so I was always asked, not always, but several times, what's Redondo doing to meet power needs and or conserve and or a variety of any other options that we could participate in. And this is one of them, this virtual power plant. So I see Leah is now on mic, so maybe we should turn it over to her.
Yep. And without further ado, Leah.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Sorry for being a little delayed. I thought this was happening a little later in the evening.
I already gave myself up in telling you I didn't think we'd get to it till after 9. So.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are all running ahead of schedule for all of your sake. So happy to share a little bit about Ohm Connect and what we're hoping to bring to Redondo Beach. So let me share my screen. Oh, I always click the wrong button every time. Sorry about that. Okay. Ohm Connect. So what I'm going to cover with you today is Ohm Connect's impact, how we work with cities just like yours to make a big difference in California grid and making us more clean and sustainable society. What the experience is like for customers coming in, and then what it would be like to work with us. So simply put, Ohm Connect is a free service that pays you to save energy. It's really exciting. I'll explain to you exactly how that works. A lot of people wonder, how can you get paid to save energy and reduce money in your energy bill? And it actually just plays right into California energy economy. So at the evening time, I think a lot of us are aware that there's a big peak in demand. We have a lot of solar that goes on during the day, which is really exciting. We actually have some of the most solar in the country. But at the evening time, there's less solar. The solar demand, like the solar supply dips. And to meet that supply, we need to fuel up other power resources. And I'm sure in Redondo Beach, you are very familiar that one of the things that we use to meet evening demand is peaker power plants, just like the one that you have on your beach. Another option is having battery storage, which we are very supportive of, but scaling that up to the capacity that we need is going to take a lot of time and money. And the last thing that we can provide are virtual power plants, and that is what Ohm Connect does. So it's saying, let's take a bunch of distributed assets all across the community and say, use a little bit less or change how you're using your energy to better match demand. So virtual power plants are a great resource to lessen the need of peaker power plants. And what's really exciting is they are really light asset heavy. You don't need to do heavy capital construction or any of that. It's using things that are already in people's homes. So just as I said, we're a free service that pays people to use less energy. So exactly how this works is we are always constantly communicating with the grid. We have literally hundreds of dispatches that are going out every single day. When we see that the price of electricity spikes, that usually means that there is an increased supply of demand, right? Supply and demand. So price will spike. And that's when peaker power plants typically will bid in and go on and turn online. That's when we also know, like, hey, this is time, the grid is stressed. It is time to activate our users. So at this point, we will bid into the basically statewide energy system and get a bid to have our users reduce that energy. The energy market will pay us for the service. We are actually registered the exact same as a regular power plant. We go through all the same regulatory filings. So we activate our power plant of users. They reduce less energy. We get paid by the California energy markets, and then we pass those savings on to our community of users. So that is how this whole economic model works. That's how you can get saved to reduce energy, or how you can get paid to reduce energy. So here's an example of exactly how this works. So if you remember back 2 years ago, beginning of COVID, we had some crazy heat waves that were happening in the summer. We had some power outages, and it was horrible because we had too much demand to meet the supply that we currently had on the California grid. That is also part of the reason that you still have this peaker power plant that's in your backyard. But one of the times that this happened, so there was the blackouts that happened in August. They also almost had a blackout on Memorial or Labor Day weekend. Actually, the chairman of the CAISO called us up and said, like, OhmConnect, we are about to have a blackout. If you don't activate your users, like, that's it. We're going to have more rolling blackouts across California. We implemented a giant Ohm hour, created crazy rewards for all of our members to reduce their energy. And that is actually the thing that prevented us from having a blackout 2 years ago in September. So you can see here, basically Recurve is an energy data platform. They do amazing analysis. And this is an actual chart of our users' data during this time that we were about to have blackouts. So truly, OhmConnect makes massive impacts in the energy grid, and we are only growing every single year, adding more devices that can increase the amount of controllable load that can reduce this profile constantly. So I'll stop there really quick, just about how the background of how OhmConnect works. I know I went quick into
I want you to continue, but I'm sure the mayor and council remember that this chart was used as a justification for expanding the life of AES, not the chart with OhmConnect, but the chart of the peak demand. And that was the justification for increasing the life of the AES power plant.
Yeah, I have some questions, Leah.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you bid into the energy markets along with the power plants as if you are a power plant.
We actually are a power plant.
You have a power plant somewhere?
It's not a physical power plant. It is literally a virtual power plant of connected devices. But we, on paper, we file all the same regulatory documents as any other power plant. So I guess from the back end, we work the exact same.
So, well, you're on the demand side, right? So you are in effect a power plant by reducing demand, correct?
Right. Yeah. It's just another way of having supply to meet demand. So instead of having supply go up to meet demand, we'd have demand go down to meet supply.
And people have to opt in voluntarily to be part of your virtual power plant. I guess my question is, so when Southern California Edison or PG&E puts out a request for offer to meet a need that's been established by the PUC, are you seen shoulder to shoulder the same as choose AES, for example, or Genon, or pick whatever power producer, NRG. Are you bidding on a request for offers along with them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it depends on the type of offer that is put out there and if we can meet the requirements. So that's, I mean, like PG&E, SCE, SDG&E, they know who we are. We aren't just going to come in and say let me backtrack. Usually, energy providers are always procuring RA, resource adequacy. And they say, how many megawatts of resource adequacy they need.
Yep.
Yes, we bid in the same just as anybody else does into that. And we have RA contracts with all three ISOs and almost every single CCA in the state, including a couple also independent.
So you will actually contract with Southern California Edison, for example?
We do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We provide them RA.
Just this exact same way AES does, or any other traditional power producer would in our area, in the LA area, resource adequacy area. Yeah, so that's very interesting. And so obviously demand response is not new. It's been going on for many years. How long has OhmConnect been operating in this fashion? Because as I recall, demand response was brought to the table by PG&E, SDG&E, and SCE, but it sounds like now you have a private enterprise that's acting as a power plant, but using demand response to do it.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a lot of different companies that are doing this as well. We're the largest residential one. So OhmConnect has been in existence for 8 years now. Okay. Then, PG&E, for example, they, all the California ISOs, they invented the DRAM market. So we started off bidding into the DRAM, the direct response or the demand response market. About 3 years ago, we started putting bids in for, regular RA being a power plant. And we have, a lot of supporters now helping us do that. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So there are a lot of private parties doing this. Most of them focus on the commercial space of saying like, let's power down a warehouse, a factory, those sort of things, because they have such a large controllable load. People don't typically focus on residential because it's just so many tiny little things you have to work on with thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. So we are the ones that are working with people and gamifying the experience. I can actually get into that in later slides. I'll answer, I think, a lot more questions for you and probably bring up more as well.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, I saw that Zane, am I saying that correctly? Had a question the other day.
Sure. Councilmember Obaji.
So I actually just, we only have 11 people watching here between YouTube and City Council. So my first question is, what do you guys do to make people aware of this? Because this is the first time we hear about it and we're somewhat in tune with stuff. So what do you propose as far as to disseminate information about this to our community so that we can participate in the energy savings at the time?
Okay, can I get Leah to finish her presentation? Because I know that's coming up, and it's a great question. I just think you're getting ahead of it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Whoop. So this is what the OhmConnect experience looks like, and then I'll end up what the partnership components will look like. Then we can open it back up for questions. So signing up for OhmConnect is incredibly easy. It takes less than 5 minutes. This first step, you just sign in, you literally put your name and email and address in, and then you are signed into OhmConnect. Then we'll ask you to connect your utility account. That part is really important so that we can see how much of your energy you are reducing. Once you do that, we actually will send you free or discounted smart devices. So here we're showing a smart thermostat or a smart plug. We also give out smart thermostats that supply is endlessly growing of what we can provide and what people can connect that are also already in their homes. Once you connect to your device, you can choose to save automatically your energy, or you can do behavioral use. So you actually don't have, make that point clear. You don't have to connect devices. You can be a strictly behavioral user. We'll send you a text message that says, there's an ohm hour coming up from 7 to 8 o'clock tomorrow. And you can choose if you want to go around your house and turn off the lights and maybe go on a walk during that time. If you decide not to participate, that's fine, where there's no penalty. This is a carrots only program. If you do participate, we will reward you in points that you can catch up for various different things. However, you can also connect devices and that automates the process for you. So I like that because it'll turn off, kind of my weird fireplace lights and turn off my microwave and turn off my refrigerator, and I don't have to think about it. That's great for me, but I can also choose to turn them back on if I want. Also great for me. And so every time you're doing this, you are accruing points and you can cash out a variety of ways. So what's cool though about OhmConnect is we make OhmConnect, we make energy friendly and engaging experience. No one cares about energy. Regular people don't care about energy. It's not very exciting. And so we have tried to make this an engaging experience for everybody. Within the platform, you will get a streak of how many days you participated. You're earning points. You have status tiers. You can see what all your connected devices are, all the upcoming events. And then you also see, how many points your devices are accruing for you, and also the points you've accrued just by participating in events. That'll all add up onto the rewards page. There is a wheel you can spin to get rewards. There are options to cash out. If you have connected devices, we have a new feature where if you have connected devices, you can get a guaranteed cash amount every single month. So for example, if you have a connected thermostat, you'll get $5 guaranteed every month as long as it's participating. And then you can also just get money by referring friends. And again, there is no penalty for not participating. You can sign up and decide, never mind, I don't want to anymore. That's okay. It is a carrot only platform. Here's a couple more screen grabs of what our rewards marketplace look like. So as I mentioned, you can spin the wheel. So it's like a nice little game you could play just for saving energy. We give out deals all the time for even more discounted smart devices. You can always enter into these cool prizes. So here isn't actually even one that's that exciting. It's a solar array backpack, which I personally would like a lot, but we also like give away kayaks, trips to Disney World, Peloton, you name it. It's usually been featured as a prize that people can enter in to win from their watts that they've accrued. We have different nonprofit partners you can donate to, and again, you can exchange out for cash. Now, I keep on talking about devices. Devices are really important in our OwnConnect platform. As a behavioral user, you can go around and do all these things. But if you have a connected device, you're more likely to save 4.5 times more energy just by having this automated experience in your home. So that's why we try to give out devices as much as possible so that people can automate that experience. They're also really great for energy efficiency. And we are always adding in new platform partners. So actually, we just launched our partnership with SunPower. So we're going to have even more solar, and they're launching this. We're doing a whole battery pilot. So it's going to be amazing to offer that to people in the future. And then Carrier, who's world's largest producer of thermostats. So a lot of you probably actually have a Carrier brand thermostat and don't even realize it. So I'm really excited I can finally connect my Carrier brand thermostat to the OwnConnect platform. So some other cool features, we are optimized to do mobile because we know most people operate on mobile. Onboarding really is truly simple, just a couple clicks of a button. Smart devices are integrated. We give a lot of rewards out. Users always have ultimate control over what their devices do. And it's an engaging and fun experience. Also, we have a fantastic help support team of all real people, all of them I know, that are here to help people whenever they have questions of connecting their utility or whatever happens. And so people don't need to be calling, City Hall being like, how do I connect my OwnConnect account? Like, we have a team of people that is there to help with any questions people might have. Finally, what does a partnership look like? What's really exciting about working with OwnConnect is it's going to basically increase the amount of people that are within our platform. And, with that, it'll reduce emissions, create more grid resiliency, improve air quality, and remove that need for peaker power plants, which is what I know you guys are very excited about as well. What's in it for the customers? Well, if we work with you guys, we'll create a special sign-up promotion for people signing up through the Redondo Beach campaign, essentially. So what I can definitely say is that we could give out a $10 bonus just for signing up for OwnConnect. We'll give you $10. And also we'll give you a free thermostat or 2 free smart plugs. Right now, people that are coming in have to pay a little bit on the top to get those devices. You could probably actually even increase that sign up bonus a little bit more to get people extra excited and have a great wave of momentum coming through Redondo Beach, showing that, we really can make an impact in this area. Also, what's exciting is OwnConnect is one of the only things you can do as any person to make a difference in the clean energy environment. So you don't have to have a roof and install solar. You don't have to be well off and get a Tesla or buy the really fancy meat at the supermarket and all the brands that are toting their sustainable whatever they're selling, those usually come in at on the top cost. We are the only thing out there that literally anyone in any situation can participate in. And it's at no cost to them. In fact, it'll help pay them back. So finally, there's a way to participate in the clean energy economy for them. And then finally, as I mentioned before, there's all these prizes and awards people will get just by participating. So it's, fun as well. So with you, outreach channels, I know that was a question. We actually have statewide campaigns going on all the time. You might have seen campaigns going on that were about end California blackouts. If you didn't see something, that's maybe because more of our messaging is focused more inland where it's hotter and they have higher baselines and just more of a need to reduce energy. But we work with partners all the time. In fact, when we work with partner channels, OwnConnect seems too good to be true. We're telling you to reduce your energy and we're going to pay for it. It seems like a big scam and it is 100% not. So when it's coming through a trusted and reputable source, people understand it, are more likely to look into it, check it out, and then sign up. So we actually see sign up rates 4 to 10 times higher when it's coming through one of our partners. And that's why my whole job is to go out and get partners to work with and, bring Connect to their communities. So what we do when we work with organizations like yours is we'll create a whole media outreach kit, and that can include flyers, emails for you to send out to your constituents, social media posts, really any sort of outreach method you can do within your community. We can help create all the content for that, and then I'll also customize it for you and let you customize it on the back end as well. What I'm most excited about with Redondo Beach is that I want to bring your story and bring that across the state and say like, hey, there's a peaker power plant here. We're going to take your story and leverage it to get even more impact all around. And so that's why this is like the most exciting partnership right now, so that we can really leverage this, tidal wave across the state to say like, yes, let's shut this peaker power plant down. Like there is one now to rally around, and instead of just this ambiguous thing that's floating around in a vague peaker power plant no one really knows about. So also, no sweat. We'll do everything for you. We try to make this as easy as possible. We really don't want this to be any significant time or effort on your end. And also we will share with you, all the data we get on our side. And that's, everything with enrollments and signups, but also the energy data that we're seeing. So, how much are your people reducing? How many connected devices are we getting? How do we empower people to continue to shift their demand to best meet the clean energy supplies that we have around the state? And that is the end of the presentation. So with that being said, I'm sure we have a ton of questions. I already see some hands up. Happy to chime in.
Okay, well, thank you, Leah. It was very, very informative and very interesting for those of us who've been watching this for many, many years. Let me ask you something. You said when they get to a crunch in the late summer, early fall, they call you? What, CAISO calls OhmConnect and says, are you guys ready to activate your customers so that we can reduce our demand and meet our demand?
Yes and no. I mean, we're bidding in all the time. So when there's a big flex alert happening, yes, CAISO is calling us up. They have regular meetings with our CEO saying like, please get more users. CAISO has asked our CEO, can you quadruple the amount of people you have in the next 2 years? They are desperate for us to continue. And regular calls all the time, especially when there's flex alerts saying like, please activate. But we're also, what's different that with us than other demand response programs is that we're activating outside of just the flex alert. So it's not just a handful of times across the summer that you're going to be doing this. You're going to be participating 1 to 2 times a week all year long. So that creates a habit. You're familiar with what this program is. You know what to do. And that also means that when a big flex alert comes on in the summer, you really know how to activate and you know how to rally the call and do the best case you can for that one situation.
So I know that a lot of power generators are actually paid to be ready, to be on the ready. So do you guys, I don't know what that payment is called. What do they call that payment on ready? Or I mean,
I'm not, I forgot the name of that too, but yes, we are. We have that one payment to be basically ready at certain capacities all the time with different energy providers around the state. And then we get paid again when we actually deliver that service, which is how
a lot of people don't understand that, but AES Redondo makes money whether they operate or not. And they could get called upon, they could bid on, get called upon. And it's the part you left out of your presentation is that this peaker plant is 70 years old. You might throw that into your presentation. It's a community with a 70-year-old power plant continuing to operate because we haven't met our energy goals. It's kind of embarrassing for the state, frankly. But they're paid just to be on the ready, whether they actually can perform or not. And I guess that's what you're telling me. You guys are treated as a power plant so that you guys are paid an amount every year. Regardless, you're just available. You've bid into the process, you're available, so you get a payment, and then you get paid based on how much in essence, I guess you could say energy produced, but really it's just reduction in demand.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I know this is obvious to you, but it's not obvious to a lot of people, and it helps me, understand where you guys fit into all this, which is where the name terminology virtual power plant comes from, because it's not an actual power plant, but that's where virtual, a lot of things comes in. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Horvath.
Yeah, I just want to applaud you because it's really a creative program. It's like, creating a community microgrid, if you will, in each, city. And I think, just looking at the presentation and the UI, like you've clearly made it super easily accessible to, I think, anybody who is at least a little bit savvy with a phone or a computer. And the fact that you're sending them, devices that they can plug in, and then plug something into that, it seems like it makes the process really easy for them. And I guess, in my mind, it's kind of a no-brainer to do a partnership. I mean, like, even though we're, part of Clean Power Alliance, they have the CPA Power Response Program, but right now that is a little bit more specifically geared towards people who have EV charging or battery energy storage, and they're doing the same thing, right? But it's not, you've gone a little bit more granular with what you're doing, so it affects anybody, regardless of where they're at, and I really like that. And then I guess the other important thing to note about your program is, regardless of whether a customer has opted in or out of CPA, right, they can still be a part of this program. It doesn't matter who they're sourcing their energy from. So I just want to say kudos. I think it's kind of revolutionary in terms of, what we would think of as traditional power purchase agreements or resource adequacy strategies. And so, yeah, I'm happy to support. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Councilmember Obaji.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, I guess, our City Attorney Webb for bringing this up, paying attention, and connecting with the group. I would favor anything the city could do to get this going in Redondo Beach, including analyzing where the city could even cut down on power usage at a time where we're overspending. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of room there, since we run a lot of utilities, police, and fire, which need to be on the grid all the time. But I'm sure there's maybe some space to do so. So
there's a lot of outlets at City Hall, Zane.
Yeah, a couple fridges. I'm sure people got to clear out their lunches and dinners in September from the fridge. They can be shut off at night. But in any event, I would favor. I don't know what's the next action we could take here.
All we're looking for is direction to staff. This is not a traditional city attorney approach, but it fits with everything that this council is united behind in terms of, making clear, especially in light of AES voluntarily retiring the unit in 2023, as opposed to lobbying to get additional time. And also that this is entirely a voluntary thing. So it wouldn't be some of the discussion we had around CPA where you had to opt out. And so I just need direction to staff, and then we'll work with Lee and her team, and they'll roll out that, the special incentives that members of the public, general public, don't usually get. They'll come up with a plan. I think Leah and her team will be willing to appear virtually at your community meetings. They're primarily Northern California companies, so I don't want to make any statements about in-person meetings, but I think it would help a lot as elected officials if we can all make people aware, and if you can communicate with the neighboring elected officials who suffer the consequence of the plant. Hermosa Beach would be, an important part of this. Much bigger Torrance, if AES retires the power plant, it's used for one of the other many permitted uses in that area, then the power lines can, as Edison has told us, potentially go down, which will benefit Torrance. And then anyone who cares whether they can have solar or not, that making a difference towards a greener future. So I just need the direction to start up, and we'll get going. And then it's just getting the word out, making certain, using your platform as elected officials, allowing it to be on the website. Now, I'll bring back the plan as it's fully vetted, but it's not going to cost us anything. And I thought it was one of the rare things I've come across on that I felt pretty confident all 6 of you would enthusiastically support, and kind of on the cutting edge of bringing creative approaches to things.
All right. Well, so I would make a motion. By the way, Ms. Goodman, I think I highly recommend that you reach out to council members in Hermosa Beach and try to do the same presentation there. Councilmember Armato or Ray Jackson would be great.
So it would be better if one of you.
Yes, we'll do that too.
Reach out, and then I will follow up and do the introduction, because the thing that thing is such a good match is that, as she said, they get much better follow through if it's coming from a group that's already trusted, because otherwise it seems too good to be true. And so if you email or call your fellow council people, it will work much better than if she were to blindly reach out to them.
And I'll say that I just in the time of this meeting, the presentation, I was able to sign up, connect it to my Edison account if you use your browser and the like. So it's a very easy thing to do. And I would direct, and also Ms. Goodman, I would make sure you get all the council members here, social media, Instagram pictures and stuff that we can post online so our residents see that this is available as we try to get the incentives going or whatnot.
So I should have started with the warning at the start. So we didn't do a live participatory thing because we want to keep track of the virtual power plant we're building from this point forward. And so I would say I didn't sign up specifically for that purpose. Wait until we have that link, that unique Redondo Beach group, and then send that out.
Got it. All right.
Okay, I'll circle you back in, but yeah, we're gonna have unique links for all of you, and then also, like you've probably seen through it, it's like get a thermostat. Here's a smart plug. All these things, like I'll do that for you, but I'll make it better. So
awesome.
Since I know you're a group, I can circle you back in and still get you part of all the good stuff.
All right, and I'll make a motion to direct staff to team up with Connect to reduce Redondo Beach's electricity consumption.
Second.
And create a virtual power.
Yes.
Create a virtual power plant and educate our residents to that fact.
And that's key because by using the link, she mentioned that, Leah mentioned that we'll be able to show the size, particularly as they take our story around the state, that, hey, we've created a virtual power plant of this size that works best when the energy is most needed and doesn't pollute at all, and it's 100% green energy. I will throw a shout out to Councilman Horvath, because in the time we were talking, he already connected me with Stacey Armato from Hermosa Beach. So I'll be reaching out to you, Leah.
Great.
You're way too efficient as a group when you all agree upon stuff.
And there's a council member, somebody else probably knows her name, but who called me when we did the Clean Power Alliance, when we joined that 100% to encourage us to do that. So in Manhattan Beach, if anybody.
Hildy.
There you go. All right, thanks. That's it.
Okay, Councilmember Nairnheim.
Thank you, Mayor Brand. I was going to ask actually right off the bat if it works with Home Assistant, and I did a quick search, and you guys already are a Home Assistant. So anyone has a smart home and uses the smart home stuff without the plugs, it just plugs in automatically to the whole operating system of that. So that's really cool. Take advantage of that. Unfortunately, I don't have, my air conditioning is opening up the windows. Do I get credit for that?
Yeah, definitely.
Can I hook it up to my neighbor's air conditioning?
I mean, you definitely have other power sources in your house. So like I have a smart plug attached to my fridge, for example. And your fridge will stay cold for 8 hours. And I still use, because I know it's only going on for 1 hour, I'll still use my fridge and open and close the door when it's happening. But that, that's my largest energy source, and that makes a big difference.
So, okay, this is my real question. So you actually have to have electricity to cut, right? You can't have, if you're a low consumer of electricity and you don't use much electricity, you're not going to get much benefit out of this. So the more electricity you use, the more of a benefit you're going to get, especially if you have air conditioning. A lot of us on the coastline don't have air conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because you're coastal, I know, most people are going to be low baseline homes where you are. And that's okay. Every single person makes a little bit of difference. I live in San Francisco. I also have an incredibly low baseline home. It's always 60 degrees. But, there are little things if we all, work together to make a difference. And I think like one of the things we've been talking about as we've been developing what this program can be like is saying, everyone in Redondo Beach is united on this effort. They're doing what it takes to help reduce the need to use, that power plant on your beach. And then also, we, like, as I mentioned, using this story across the state, our PR team is like very excited and queued up and ready to go. So I want to like bring this story around and, leverage a lot of momentum in the places that are in the valley and more inland that do have those high baselines and do deal with those heat waves in a dramatic way.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is your coldest winter is the summer in San Francisco.
That is correct.
Yeah, no, I have a group for you to meet. We can talk offline for that. But the power consumption along the coastal cities is different and opposite of what most people have elsewhere in the state, where our summer is actually lower usage of electricity. And so in the winter time, I noticed in your presentation regarding dirty power and not green power, are you able to tailor the power cuts according to when? So in the winter time, we might have enough power, but we're not getting power out of the green energy, that we are able to cut power usage. Do you go that far and deep into the process, or is it just purely when we're short on power?
No, yeah, we're doing it all. I mean, in the winter, we are also having ohm hours all the time. Really, our market signals come from when market pricing is high. And typically that's because we're using more expensive power resources, which especially in California are typically fossil fuels because solar is very, very cheap. And when the grid is stressed and demand is really high. So basically the market signals tell us, yes, we are using more fossil fuels, and that is when we should be reducing.
So you're looking at the price per kilowatt, not a shortage of kilowatt hours.
It's both. We bid into both systems. In the winter time, there's less shortage typically.
Right.
So that's when it's more of the market price signals. In the summer, it's definitely paying more attention to, wow, we're going to have a shortage. We really need to reduce. And we'll also know when, we'll hear when some sort of resource is going on offline for a day for maintenance or what have you. And we will participate also to reduce our energy use during that time too.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. Well, thank you very much. I have no other questions. This is a great program. Yeah, this is sure we're all going to agree on this. Unfortunately, Councilman Lowenstein's not here. But yeah, thank you for coming up with this. Thank you, Mr. Webb, for coming up with this. And like I said, I got a group for you to meet where you can get in front of a bunch of other electeds.
You just hit the jackpot. He's president of a group of 38 cities. So you're in
43. Who's counting?
38. They're president-elect, actually, to be clear.
Yeah.
Cool.
Leah, I would think when you're bidding into the market, you're one of the more competitive bidders. Other than renewable energy. I mean, I'm certainly, you would bid in cheaper than a fossil fuel gas-fired power plant that's 70 years old on the coast.
We are definitely cheaper than that.
Mm. So it's very interesting how you work into the system. And a question, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I mean, I would just think all year long, you would be very competitive.
Yeah.
Not just during times of perceived shortages. So there was recently a new demand I think the CPUC is, they're issuing, obviously, when they had the power outages, a big bit of a cat fight between them and Kaiser about who was more responsible than the other. But the PUC recently issued a report and issued a new need. And I take it you guys bid into that, or that bidding hadn't occurred yet?
I'm not quite
Or do you
sure
know?
of what you're referencing.
Oh, okay. Well, they issued a new need, and part of the reason is because of the shortage that they identified. And, you know, many said, and the Energy Commission, the PUC themselves said that they needed to issue more need, both renewables and traditional, to not have these shortages at the peak, at, you know, late summer, early fall. So I don't know, maybe that's something you're not privy to or care about right now. So
I know we're definitely always, you know, trying to fill everybody's contracts.
Yeah.
But with that, you know, we need to, like, building our power plant means enrolling users. And so that's how we grow. That's how we're able to fill more of these resources that are demanded.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, is there any public comment on this, Vicki?
No, sir, I'm sorry. We do not have any public comment.
Okay. We got a motion to direct staff to work with you and create a virtual power plant. Motion by Councilmember Obaji, second by Councilmember Horvath, I believe.
Yes.
The roll call vote. Councilmember Nierenheim.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowenstein, absent. Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Obaji.
Aye.
And Councilmember MD.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
There you have it. Thank you so much, Leah. And thank you, City Attorney Mike Webb, for bringing this forward. It's a great thing.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll get to work tomorrow and keep you updated on it.
Excellent day. Okay, moving right along. City manager items. Mike Witzansky.
Yes, just one this evening, Mayor. Mild disappointment to share. We received our letter from HCD today. I have forwarded it to all of you for your own reading. We are digesting it today, and we'll be following up with the meeting with Robin, our contact with HCD at the staff level, to further understand their suggested modifications. I think in general, the letter represents some level of progress towards a certified housing element, but we clearly have more work to do. Some of what's in the material tonight was anticipated based on prior conversations. They have acknowledged multiple times, I think, the more complete executive summary that we submitted as part of our revised and adopted plan. They've been very appreciative of all the work that we're doing in that regard. But there is some additional work here to do as I continue to decipher the letter. So we will be coming back to the council probably in the next couple of months with a scheduled hearing to consider additional changes to our plan. And we'll keep you posted as we receive any additional materials. But we did receive word today from HCD that we have more work to do. So I wanted to share that with you, and we'll keep at it.
Okay. Mayor and council items. Councilmember Nierenheim.
Yeah, I've got, let's see here. I had some follow up on, hold on. It's going way too fast for me. I think I'm good, actually. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Councilmember Lowenstein is absent. Councilmember Horvath.
Nothing. No, thank you.
Councilmember Obaji.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of BRRs. I had maybe a BRR for what it would cost to be able to broadcast on Zoom community meetings to the public that people conduct at the various facilities where council members conduct their community meetings. So I imagine that would be like either a camera and Zoom connection type thing, and connection into the network, so that a council member could hold a live meeting and a simulcast over Zoom. I did that with my phone and it worked well, but it could be better. And then I've got a request for I'd like another BRR for a lit crosswalk at Grant and Aviation.
any objection to getting a budget response report for a lead crosswalk at Grant and Aviation? Is that something?
Yeah,
needs
we
to be
can,
done, Mike?
sure, we can add that to our list. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. I guess since we're doing budget response reports, I'll do two, and it's related to Avenue I. I'd like to know what it would cost to repave Avenue I between Lena and Catalina Avenue.
I already asked for that.
Oh.
Yeah, last week when you were gone.
Yeah, that was part of the direction last
Oh.
on our residential rehab program. So we'll be bringing that back.
Well, did that include a lighted crosswalk at that intersection where someone unfortunately was killed?
That
Avenue I in Catalina. It's a big crosswalk. It's heavily used at night. It would be good to know flashing.
We can talk, yeah, we can do some research on further illumination there. I think there is some lighting there, but yeah, we could look at upgrades to that.
Well, maybe I'm mistaken. I go through there a lot, but I've never seen at night anybody push a button and then the crosswalk light up the way it does in other parts of town. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, you mean a flashing crosswalk?
Yeah.
Flashing ground.
That's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
That's
lighted.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's what I meant also for Grant Aviation.
Oh, you're not, okay. You're talking about flashing signal rather than just illumination, right?
Like,
right.
You know, the reflectors that are on the ground that mark the crosswalk, that those light up. I've seen that before in other places.
Yeah, there are a couple options. We can provide flashing signal, basically pedestrian crosswalk
illumination
to those areas.
Every crosswalk on Highland and Manhattan Beach has those kinds of illuminated crosswalks. When somebody pushes the button, every single crosswalk in Manhattan Beach on Highland Avenue has that functionality. So it would be good to know if we could, how much it would cost to install that at some important intersections.
Yeah,
like what's
sure.
been mentioned.
Mayor, let me add something. I think back to Councilmember Obaji's request for grant in aviation. That's a fully signalized intersection. So we can't put in-pavement flashers at a signalized intersection, but we may look if there are any other enhancements. I understand what you're asking for. But at a signalized intersection, we don't have the flexibilities that we do at either an uncontrolled or at a stop-controlled intersection.
Got it. I didn't know that. Thank you for that. Yeah, any other option that we could do there, that would be, helpful, just again, slowing cars. Although I will say the speedometer or odometer that you guys put up has helped tremendously with slowing speeds there, at least as far as I can tell.
Okay. Councilmember MD, did you have anything for staff?
Not at this time. Thank you, though.
Okay, great. All right, well, meeting went a lot faster than I thought it was going to go.
Me too. Sorry I was late.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn in memory of Brenda Ann Robinson. She was a fantastic long-term Redondo Beach resident who did so many wonderful things, not only for our community, but also for Inglewood. She had a lot of businesses she set up that served people in need, and she was one active person. I got notice from her son. He passed away. She lived for many years in the Susanna Isabel area in District 2, and then passed away. Gosh, it was months ago. So I really appreciate her son reaching out to me and us being able to adjourn in her honor. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn in memory of Brenda Ann Robinson.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Obaji, second by Councilmember Horvath. Is there any objection? Okay, we are adjourned.